Let's keep going on the phones.
Let's do it because
GPD's on the line.
GPD?
GPD's here.
Hey, this is Grandpa Daddy Dibs. You know I'm a Grandpa Daddy like you.
Do you like it, GPD, when he impersonates you? Is it an impersonation sensation?
That's a buck.
Am I on?
You're on, dog.
Okay. Before they hang up on me, I just want to let you guys know, I got a couple presents for you two guys from the last 49er game, but I'm not going to bring it to you until they win. Because I talked to Matt, and Matt told me, "Hey, bring it. I'm going to bring it to you."
Wait, what is that? What is that, GPD? What does that mean? They win the whole thing, or just any game?
Until they win a game.
No,
now.
The next game.
Okay.
The next game.
All right.
Sunday.
So Monday.
And then I'll be there on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
No, I'm busy. I'm always busy on Monday.
Yeah, Monday's stink. All right.
But look. I gotta agree with both of you. Mark, check this out, dude.
Yeah.
It's an L.
Of course.
It's an L.
Of course it is.
But Dibs, that was a moral victory.
Stop
dog.
it, Grandpa
Come
Daddy.
on, man. Wait. Hey, Dibs. Okay. It was a moral uplift for the team. How about we call it that?
You can call it whatever you want, Grandpa Daddy, but in the standings, there aren't two different standings. There's not the standings and then the moral victory standings. But they're 1-0.
No, but
they're in the play-in moral victory games.
You keep responding to this with something that no one is saying. No one is calling it a win.
Calling it a moral victory is
completely separate from the standings.
But it is a soft way to excuse the fact that the opposing team scored more points than you. Do you think Draymond Green looked at that and said, you know what, guys, let's gather round because I feel like that was a moral victory.
Once again.
Has he ever said the phrase moral victory? Hell no.
Maybe not.
Never.
But again, I do feel like we are now in a repetitive cycle of you responding to this term by saying a bunch of stuff that no one else is saying. No one's calling for kumbaya. No one's calling for a little circle where we're all holding hands. No one's calling for the standings to be changed. No one's calling for a parade.
What are you calling for?
No one's calling for chocolate donuts for everybody at the end.
That's what it sounds like.
No.
That's what I'm hearing all of you say.
I know that's what you're hearing. Let me try again.
Keep trying.
This felt better at the end than it did at the beginning with regard to Warrior basketball. Nothing else. Nothing else. No pom-poms. No happy dance on the plane.
Wait, say that again. It felt better at the end than it felt at the beginning?
Were you more or less encouraged about Warrior basketball before the game or after the game? I think if you heart of hearts asked every Warrior fan and the Warrior players themselves would tell you that at the end of this trip and at the end of this game, they feel even more encouraged now that it's over than they would have at the beginning. You can then translate that into anything you want. Call it a moral victory.
I wouldn't.
Call it a happy sandwich. I don't care what you call it. That's what I'm trying to express. This felt good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not a loss.
I disagree, and I don't disagree with how you felt because your feelings are yours and yours alone. I don't feel good about the fact that you went up against the defending champ and you lost a basketball game. I feel okay. Do I feel better than I would if they would have lost 122-74? Sure.
Yeah.
Although you could look at that sort of a loss and you could look at the positives of, well, Steph and Clay only played 14 minutes and, well, Andrew Wiggins was 4 of 13, but it didn't really matter. And, you got to rest your veterans, and that's fine. You lost, whatever, because a loss is a loss. I'm glad they didn't lose in overtime because that would have meant you played extra minutes.
You got to tuck this into all the other games that they've played as well, don't you? Like
sure, every game is not in a vacuum.
Right.
Of their 9 games they've played this year, this is probably their 7th best game.
I mean, let's take Steiny's words. He says they haven't beaten anyone. I always think that's a funny thing to say about professional sports teams.
Wouldn't you rank their 6 wins above all 3 of their losses in terms of what makes you feel the best? Like, do you feel better about last night than you do of any of their 6 wins?
Oh, see, no. I would totally argue back on that.
So you would say that last night was their 7th best feeling that you had?
Let me ask you this. When you watch the Warriors beat the Houston Rockets on the road, do you come out of that and go, I think we can compete at a high level? Or do you come out of a 3-point loss on the road at the home of the champs at the end of a trip and think even more, I think we can compete at a high level? Like, I am much more impressed or looking at it as a measuring stick when you say, okay, you got to measure yourself against the best. When you're right there against the champs, doesn't that say a lot more than lollygagging a 10-point win in Houston? I think it does. I completely think it does.
No, I mean, you want to talk about measuring stick. So you measured yourself against the defending champs, and you came up short.
One time.
Sure, but
you don't get eliminated by one game.
And I know
NBA.
we're talking about measuring sticks.
Yes.
So last night, as a measuring stick,
you
measured up and you came up short. They measured better than you measured. So you beat Houston. So where would you rank last night of the 9 games? Is that your favorite game?
I don't know. No.
Is that your? All I'm saying is that to me would be my 7th favorite game because it's better than the opening night loss at home against Phoenix. I was at that game. That's a game you probably should have won. You didn't.
That's not the phraseology I would use. How about that?
On the opener?
No, you're talking about favorite game. I am more impressed by what they did last night than by beating Houston or beating New Orleans without Brandon Ingram. I think last night is a better show of what the Warriors are capable of. And so, again, use whatever words you in the English language you want.
I'm just trying to figure out where you put this in terms of the 9 games, because I look at the 3 losses and I would rank them 7th, 8th, and 9th in terms of impressiveness. Because, and you said it yourself, winning the NBA on the road is tough.
It is.
And you go to Houston and you win, that's a real thing.
Sure.
And you go to New Orleans, which is not an easy place to play, even though they didn't have Brandon Ingram. New Orleans is a tough spot for a number of reasons.
And they blew them out.
You won. And you go to OKC, and they didn't have Gilgeous-Alexander, and you had to actually dig deep and win that one on a goaltending situation that went your way. As we talk about goaltendings, that was a goaltend that got reversed that actually fell your way. So I just wonder where you put it in terms of the list of the 9 games.
To be honest with you, my mind doesn't even work that way. I don't rank the games.
Yeah.
This is a continuing story every time they play, and I'm assessing things as we go and what we thought. And here's where I really am almost kind of surprised by where you're at on this, because you spent a healthy portion of the show yesterday telling everybody how the Warriors were going to get curb stomped.
Oh, blasted
off the floor.
What's your expression that you use? It's a word you use. It's short for
what?
When a team's going to get blasted, you say they got.
Oh,
I can't believe it's not coming to me. It's not curbed.
Not coming to me either.
It'll come to me, but go ahead.
All right. You thought that was going to happen.
I thought that they were going to lose.
And they lost. And I think a lot of no, you thought they were going to get hammered.
That's not the word you use.
I know. I'm purposely, but actually I don't even know what word I'm supposed to use here.
Oh, it's canned.
Okay, there you go.
Canned.
You thought they were going to get canned.
Blank canned.
Okay?
I thought they were going to get canned.
You thought they were going to get bleep canned. You didn't. Warrior fans didn't think that about any of the previous 8 games. Nobody went into the game and went, they're going to get bleep canned tonight. But last night we did. And they very, very, very clearly didn't. They actually could have won the game. It was very close going down to the final 10 seconds of the basketball game.
But
could have won that
for that little baby butt.
And then they didn't.
Little baby butt.
But if you want to compare what the Warriors did last night versus what people thought was going to happen going in, I would argue that was one of the best games of the year.
Okay.
Because that gap is the largest in that game. What they do in Houston, pretty much what you thought they were going to do.
Right.
What did they do on opening night, even against Phoenix? You lost. But I think it kind of went the way people thought. It was a close game in the end.
Yeah.
Feeling out period, whatever.
What did Vegas think about last night? They thought that it would be that kind of game.
Right.
I'm alone in thinking they were going to get canned.
You were not alone. The reason you were not alone is because of PTSD. And I would say that PTSD that lives in so many Warrior fans this year because of what happened last year, where every time they went on the road and played a good team, sometimes not even a good team, they were down by 17 points at the end of the first quarter. And that PTSD lives in us today. And what we're learning is it's gone. That characteristic from last year is now gone. And if you want to call that a moral victory or a warm fuzzy, call it whatever you want, but I got it. I got a warm fuzzy knowing that characteristic that the Warriors had last year is now gone. And they proved that last night more so than any of the other road games, even the ones they won.
Yep. The odds makers who know best put it at a 3.5 or 4 point game, depending on
and you thought
when
they
you
were
bet
wrong.
it.
You thought they were
I
crazy.
thought they were way wrong.
Yeah.
But I was largely alone because when the money came in, the spread didn't move dramatically, even when the news came out that Murray would be out and Draymond would be out and GP2 would be out. It went from 3.5 to 4. Yep. So the prevailing notion in the marketplace was that was a 4 point game. So whether or not I thought they were going to get mollywopped or canned to use your expression, that's a me problem. And that's where I wear it. And I made a wager and I lost my wager and I'm happy. I'm not thrilled to talk about it in terms of losing a bet, but I admit it wholeheartedly. I took the L.
No, but
I thought they were going to get crushed.
But how much money moves a point in Vegas a half point?
Thousands.
I would argue more. That's a lot of money. So I
right,
think,
but a lot of money.
Think you were alone at all.
No, but I think a lot of money. If it was really as one sided as I thought, you would have had a lot of money come in and move that line dramatically. But it didn't.
But the fan base thinks that we know the Warriors better than Vegas odd makers, and maybe we're wrong on that. But I could give you tons of examples last year where the Warriors were a 3-point dog or a 1.5 point favorite. And they were down by 17 at the end of the first quarter because they couldn't play on the road. So
different story this year, for sure.
Well, and that's it.
Well, I thought Denver was better than that.
That's the whole point.
The reason why I made the bet is because I thought Denver was better than what they showed last night. Denver was at a long stint at home on primetime TV, national TV. I thought that they would play better. The others would play better. But Kevon Looney, he balled out. He played very, very well against Nikola Jokic. And no other Nugget really stepped forward and took control of that game. And so it was a nip and tuck affair.
Yeah.
It was a nice quality effort for the Warriors, but it was a loss.
Warm fuzzy.
Yeah, I don't get the same feels.
Because it removed once and for all the idea that the Warriors, when they go on the road, are going to be down by 17 after the first quarter against a good team. It can't even stay on the damn floor with them. And they went down by 10, and they were like, no problem. We're going to come right back. We're going to be here. We're going to be here for 4 quarters, and we're going to take you all the way to the end. And I'm sorry if you guys don't want that to be a good feeling. I think for most Warrior fans, that was a good feeling. It's not as good as winning, but that does not take away from the fact that there were a ton of positives from last night. And if you don't want to hear it from me, what if you hear it from Steph Curry?
Nobody likes to lose, but you look at the fact that we can play a lot better in the margins and we can execute a little bit better. I think offensively, get a little bit more organized, understanding how they guarded us and what they try to take away. So, yes, you feel as good as you could after a loss, just knowing the steps we need to take. And, they're the defending champs, like at home and the schedule that we've had. We have a competitive spirit and a togetherness that is, nice to see develop this early in the season.
Thank goodness we finally played that because he said that way better than I have for the last hour and a half.
He's the GOAT.
He felt as good as you could after a loss. There you go.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Good. You felt as good as you could after a loss, which is not necessarily great. I mean, I'm not hearing him gloat over how great he feels. And, we're going to pop bottles on the plane. You feel as good as you could after a loss. We showed competitive spirit.
No one's saying that.
He's talking about things that they learned, things that they figured out during the game, the way Denver's trying to defend him, and things that they were able to take away. And So you take positives from a loss, of course. That's what you do when you're a competitor.
And then he took out all the things that we've been saying, which is the end of a road trip, going against the defending champs, all of these things. Again,
they're positives.
All I wish is that you would respond with stuff that I am saying. No one's talking about champagne on the plane. No one's saying that. I'm simply saying that was a really positive night for the Warriors. They didn't win.
Right.
They didn't win, but there's way more good than bad.
Well, there's positives you can take out of it. And listening to what Steph said, I wholeheartedly agree. There are things you look at and you take positives from it, the end of a road trip and the schedule we've had. Basically, what I hear him saying is we expected to lose this game, and we didn't lose as badly as we thought we would lose.
You heard him say that?
I mean, we
expected to lose?
He didn't say those words, but when he talks about, defending champs and the schedule we've had, 4 games in 6 nights.
I think he's just telling you
end of a road trip.
That last night was really hard.
What he's telling me is that this was kind of a scheduled loss.
I think he's telling you that it's a very big challenge.
He would never say that these guys would never say, oh, this is a loss.
I think he's telling you it's a very big challenge that almost pulled it off.
Right. Yeah. And so there's positives he takes from it. And that's good, and that's what you should do.
Also known as a moral victory.
No, he didn't say that. No, nor would he ever.
Positives from a loss / moral victory, in my mind, is almost the exact same thing.
And I would never expect a pro athlete to use that phrase.
I know, because we hate that phrase.
Right.
So then we just say a bunch of other words that mean the exact same thing.
Well, what he did was actually break down what he as a player went through and what he thought they went through as a team and things that he could take from it in terms of going forward.
The second he uses the word,
way you define it.
The second he uses the word but, we're already talking about a moral victory. Listen to Grandy, turn this down after I just play the first 6 words, okay?
Nobody likes to lose, but you look
there you go. Nobody likes to lose, but, well, now we're in moral victory territory. Everything you said after
that's the way you take it. And you can take it the way you want to take it.
Absolutely. If you're nobody likes to lose, but.
Right.
And then there's 26 seconds about all the good.
Right.
Called a moral victory.
We love to lose. It's kind of what we like to do.
There we are again, and then nobody said that file.
No, but it's like you're using his butt as a way to make your point.
Because it was 26 seconds of all the good things that came out of last night.
Right, and that's, if you want to take it as that way, you can take it however you want to take it.
That's what it is. It's the definition of a moral victory.
According to you. Exactly.
Mark in Oakland. Hey, Mark, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, buddy.
You're single-handedly getting me to care about the Warriors, you two. Like, I lost complete interest last year. It was rough. Like, because I've been a Warriors fan since I was a kid, and I've never been less interested.
Now, why, Mark? I'd love to know why. What about last year made you lose interest?
Okay, and I can answer the moral victory question. Literally, I can give you a concrete answer. But the reason, last year I was just bummed the whole Draymond thing, and specifically how the team handled it, and Steve Kerr never stood up and said anything, even though he got on his soapbox and tells everyone else how wrong they are. So I just hated that. I was like, these guys aren't authentic. Everyone's just like being quiet, not standing up for what they supposedly believe, against violence, blah, blah, blah. And last year I couldn't root for them, so I didn't really care. This year I felt the same. And now, because of you two and your dynamic, this like, who's the Joker? First I thought Dibs is the Joker, and Mark's the voice reasonable. No, actually Dibs is really reasonable, and so Mark's kind of the one that started. And I love how you guys get me thinking. It's crazy. So now I'm sitting here thinking, what's the moral victory? And I'm like caring about the Warriors, and I'm like, what? And it's like it's helping me forgive, because they are human, and whether they handled it right last year or not, I am starting to care about the Warriors again. So thanks for that right off the bat.
Well, that's a nice compliment, Mark.
Yeah, I'm sitting here driving to see my mom, and I'm thinking about the Warriors. So anyways, moral victory. Here is the concrete answer. You guys are arguing the wrong thing. A moral victory isn't what you're saying. It's not a morale victory. It's 2 different words. That ends with an E. Moral victories have to do with goodness or badness of the character of a person or the team. So if you were to have an opportunity to cheat, like they say, a rep comes, he's like, if you all give me $1,000, I'll rig the game your way, and you guys can go play Denver, and all the calls are going to go your way. And say they didn't do it. They said, no, we're not paying you off. We're not going to cheat. And they lost. You'd be like, but we had a moral victory. That is the moral victory. It's not even what you guys are arguing, actually. So there are moral victories, but it's like if you do the right thing morally, but you maybe still lose in another way.
Well, so if that was, and while you may be right by exact words, Mark, in what's called obviously and thank you, Mark, the Urban Dictionary, if you will, in other words, how people actually use the phrase.
Right. The slang.
He's not wrong. Like, in other words, maybe then every single loss is a moral victory, provided that everybody played fair.
Right. Denver should have come to Steph and said, you know what, we goaltended that shot.
Exactly.
I blocked it after it had struck the backboard.
The Latter-day Saints commercials.
Totally. I
told the truth. There you go.
Excuse me, Mr. Ref. I fouled him. That ball was off me.
We're going the other way.
Worst.
Yeah, nobody does that. So maybe it was a morale victory. I'm actually looking at the dictionary definition of moral victory. Ready? A defeat that can be interpreted as a victory on moral terms. For example, because the defeated party defended their principles.
Oh, God. Where's my puke
Did the
bucket?
Warriors defend their principles last night? First question for Steve Kerr, 5 o'clock. Steve, did you defend your principles last night?
Well, actually, they kind of did. Their principles of not turning it over. They only turned it over 9 times, and they defended without fouling, and they found the open man. So, yeah, I guess you're right.
Kyle Shanahan.
See, did we lose you?
Totally. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm here.
That was amazing. You can't do a press conference voice now without being Kyle.
I just need to throw in the end stuff when I do my Kyle.
And Tiger is just nasally Kyle.
Totally. And the other one was, I think I did my giggly Tiger's my forearm.
Totally. All right, so we're presented by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. Mark is not wrong, but nobody uses it that way. We could try to coin morale victory right now if you want.
I'd rather
I don't think anybody's interested in that, and I don't think it would make sense to anybody anyway. So anyway, with the way that we actually use it, and it sounds like a lot of people have all kinds of different definitions, because every time we bring it up, you want to turn it into like actually a win in the standings or bunt cake on the plane or any of that.
Totally.
I'm just talking about the feeling in our belly after the game. And I found it to be a positive one.
Yeah.
More than a negative one.
That's good.
That's it.
And I'm happy for you.
For Warrior basketball's sake.
Did you feel like when the Niners lost to the Cleveland Browns that was a moral victory?
No. That was not a good feeling.
That's the same thing. They actually won the game. If it wasn't for that, and I say idiot kicker just to harken back to Peyton Manning.
But that's part of your team and part of your game, and he did not execute.
But you beat Cleveland, and if it wasn't for the kicker, you win that game.
They didn't beat Cleveland.
Well, if Klay Thompson catches that outlet pass and drains a 47-foot leaner, you go to overtime and you win.
But that's fundamental to what we're talking about is the Niners didn't play well in that game. The Warriors, I thought, played well last night. The
Niners played well enough to win that game.
Obviously, they didn't, or else...
it's up for interpretation.
Yeah.